My wife kept dressing my daughter like an adult until this happened. Until the day I found our 3-year-old asleep in heels and makeup at midnight, and I finally understood that the monster destroying our family was not a stranger, but the woman I had promised to love forever. Before we move on, tell me in the comments which state you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow's episode may touch a story that is still unfolding. Zara had always been beautiful, but motherhood had turned her into something else, a curator of perfection. She stood in their Atlanta townhouse, adjusting a miniature blazer on 3-year-old Amara, pulling the fabric tight across small shoulders that should have been bare and free. The child stood still, eyes glazed, while her mother applied lipstick with the precision of a makeup artist prepping a model for a runway show. Malik leaned against the doorframe of their bedroom, arms crossed, watching his wife transform their daughter into content. The phone was always there, always recording, always demanding more. Zara spoke in a voice reserved for the camera, bright, performative, selling the illusion of a luxury childhood to strangers who would never see the exhaustion behind those tiny eyes. "Say hi to the family," Zara coached, tilting the phone downward. Amara waved, mechanical, rehearsed. Malik said nothing. He had learned that silence was safer than confrontation in a house where every reaction could be filmed and misinterpreted. His daughter used to laugh when he chased her around the living room. Now she flinched when he reached for her, afraid he would wrinkle the outfit her mother had spent an hour styling. The apartment had become a studio, ring lights in the corner, backdrops folded against the wall, a clothing rack filled with miniature versions of adult fashion, blazers, pencil skirts, designer bags no child should carry. Zara called it a brand. Malik called it something else, though he had not yet found the courage to name it aloud. He noticed the small things first. The way Amara no longer played with her toys unless instructed. The way her natural hair had been hidden under wigs for months, her scalp beginning to thin at the edges. The way bedtime had become a negotiation, Zara insisting on one more post, one more photo, one more chance to capture the engagement that paid for the lifestyle she refused to surrender. Their marriage had become a performance too. Zara posted about their perfect family life, about the blessings of motherhood, about raising a confident young girl in Atlanta's vibrant social media culture. Brands reached out. Money came in. Followers multiplied, and with each milestone, Zara became more convinced that she was doing something right. Malik watched his daughter yawn in the middle of a photo shoot at 11 o'clock at night. He watched her rub her eyes, smearing the foundation Zara had applied an hour earlier. He watched his wife snap at the child for ruining the aesthetic. And still, he said nothing. The breaking point came on a Wednesday night, well past midnight, when Malik found his daughter asleep on the couch in full makeup, still wearing the tight dress and heels Zara had put her in that morning for a collaboration post with a children's fashion brand. He stood there, staring at her small body curled awkwardly against the armrest, and something inside him cracked. "Zara." His voice was low, steady, the kind of calm that carried more weight than shouting ever could. She looked up from her phone, scrolling through comments, calculating engagement rates, planning the next day's content calendar. "What? This is child abuse." The words hung in the air between them, heavy, unforgivable. Zara set her phone down slowly. Her face shifted from surprise to something colder, sharper. She stood, crossing her arms, her posture defensive but unbothered. "You have no idea what you are talking about." "I know what I see," Malik said. "I see a child who cannot sleep because her mother cares more about likes than her well-being. I see a little girl who does not smile anymore unless someone tells her to." Zara laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think you know better than me? I am her mother. I carried her. I know what is best for her." "Do you?" She stepped closer, her voice rising now, heat flooding into her words. "Yes, I do. While you sit around doing nothing, I am building something for this family. I am making sure she has opportunities you could never give her. Those brand deals pay for this house. That Instagram following opens doors you cannot even imagine." Malik shook his head. "She is 3 years old, Zara. She should be playing with dolls, not modeling them." "She loves it." "Does she? Or have you convinced yourself of that because it is easier than admitting what you are doing to her?" Zara's jaw tightened. She looked at him with something close to contempt. "You are jealous. You cannot stand that I found something I am good at, something that does not need your approval." "This is not about me. Everything is about you," she shot back. "You want me to be the quiet wife who stays home and does nothing while you pretend to be the good father, but I am more than that. I am building a legacy." At her expense. Silence. Zara turned away, picking up her phone again, dismissing him with the gesture. I am not having this conversation with you. You do not get to tell me how to raise my daughter. Malik looked at Amara, still asleep, makeup smudged across her cheek, and walked out of the room. The rift between them was no longer silent. The call came from Amara's preschool on a Thursday morning, just after 9:30. Malik was at work when his phone buzzed, the school director's name flashing on the screen. "Mr. Malik, we need to speak with you and your wife about Amara." He knew, before she even said the words, he knew. That afternoon, they sat across from the director in a small office decorated with children's drawings and educational posters about emotional development in early childhood. Zara sat with her arms crossed, her face a mask of polite indifference. Malik sat forward, hands folded, listening. "We have noticed," the director began carefully, "that Amara has been coming to school in unusual clothing." Zara smiled, tight, controlled. "Unusual how?" "Adult clothing, high heels, wigs, makeup." "And?" The director hesitated, choosing her words with the caution of someone who had dealt with difficult parents before. "We feel it would be more appropriate for her to dress like the other children, comfortable clothing, age-appropriate." Zara leaned back in her chair, her smile fading into something colder. "Are you telling me how to dress my child?" "We are suggesting." "You are judging me." Malik placed a hand on his wife's arm. She shook it off. The director sighed. "Mrs. Zara, we are not judging you. We are concerned about Amara's social development. The other children are starting to notice. She does not play with them during recess. She seems uncomfortable." "She is confident," Zara countered. "She is not like the other children because I am raising her to be exceptional. She is 3, and she is already more successful than most adults." Malik closed his eyes. The director looked at him, waiting for support, but he said nothing. Not here, not in front of strangers. The meeting ended with no resolution. Zara stood, collected her purse, and walked out without waiting for him. Malik lingered, apologizing quietly to the director before following his wife to the car. They drove home in silence. That night the church called. Pastor Williams had known their family for years, had blessed their marriage, had prayed over Amara when she was born. He was a gentle man, soft-spoken, the kind of leader who believed in restoration over condemnation. But when he called Malik that Thursday evening at 7:15, his voice carried a weight that made it clear this was not a casual conversation. "I need to speak with you and Zara about something that has been brought to my attention." They met at the church on Sunday afternoon after the service had ended and the building had emptied. The pastor's office was small, lined with bookshelves filled with theology texts and framed photos of mission trips to places Malik could not name. Zara sat beside him, legs crossed, her expression already hardened before the conversation had even begun. Pastor Williams folded his hands on his desk. "I have received concerns from several members of our congregation about the way Amara has been presented online." Zara's laugh was sharp. "Presented?" "They are worried," the pastor continued, his tone calm, patient. "They see a child being dressed in ways that do not reflect innocence. They see a little girl being turned into something she is not ready to be. They see jealousy," Zara said. "They see a woman who is successful, who has built something for her family, and they cannot stand it." "Zara," Malik said quietly. She ignored him. Pastor Williams leaned forward. "This is not about success. This is about the well-being of a child. I have watched Amara grow up in this church. I have seen her laugh and play. But lately when I see her, I see exhaustion. I see a little girl who is carrying burdens she should not have to carry." "You see what you want to see," Zara said. "You see what they tell you to see. I see what is in front of me." Zara stood. "We are done here." Malik did not move. He looked at the pastor, then at his wife, then back at the pastor. His silence was a betrayal, and Zara knew it. "Are you coming?" she demanded. He stood slowly, his jaw tight, and followed her out of the office. They did not return to that church. Within a week, Zara had pulled Amara from the preschool as well, citing toxic environments and unsupportive communities. She homeschooled their daughter now, or what she called homeschooling, structured photo shoots disguised as learning activities, educational content that doubled as sponsored posts. The isolation was complete. The house in Atlanta felt smaller every day, though nothing about its physical structure had changed. It was the silence that shrank it, the absence of laughter, the weight of unspoken resentment that pressed down on every surface. Zara's online presence grew. Her follower count climbed past 200,000. Brands sent packages weekly, clothing, toys, skincare products designed for adults but marketed to children. She unboxed them on camera, Amara standing beside her like a prop, repeating lines her mother had written for her. Malik stopped watching the videos. He could not bear to see his daughter's face on a screen, knowing that behind it was a child who no longer knew how to be a child. He worked longer hours, left early, came home late. When he was there, he moved through the house like a ghost, careful not to disturb the content creation happening in every room. The living room was a set. The kitchen was a backdrop. Even Amara's bedroom had been redesigned for optimal lighting and aesthetic appeal. There were no toys on the floor anymore, no crayons scattered across the table, no messes. Amara had learned to be still. She sat on the couch in the evenings, dressed in whatever outfit Zara had chosen for the next day's posts, and watched cartoons on mute while her mother edited photos on her laptop. She did not ask questions. She did not complain. She simply existed in the narrow space her mother had carved out for her. Malik watched from the doorway one night, his hands in his pockets, his heart heavy. "Amara," he said softly. She looked up at him, her expression blank. "Do you want to go to the park tomorrow?" She glanced at her mother. Zara did not look up from her screen. "We have a shoot tomorrow." "After the shoot," Malik said. "We will see." They both knew what that meant. Amara turned back to the television. Malik stood there for another moment, then walked to the bedroom and closed the door. The marriage was no longer a partnership. It was a cold war, fought in silence, where neither side had the courage to declare victory or defeat. The brand event was held at a luxury venue in Buckhead, a part of Atlanta known for wealth, influence, and the kind of social climbing Zara had always aspired to. The invitation had come from a children's fashion label that specialized in what they called elevated style for young girls, a polite way of saying they sold adult clothing in smaller sizes. Amara was dressed in a fitted blazer, a pencil skirt that fell just below her knees, and heels that clicked against the marble floor with every unsteady step she took. Her hair was slicked back under a wig styled to look like a professional woman heading into a boardroom. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like a miniature executive. She looked nothing like a 4-year-old. Malik stood at the edge of the room, hands in his pockets, watching his daughter navigate the space with the careful precision of someone afraid to fall. Other parents were there, their children dressed similarly, performing the same uncomfortable charade. Everyone smiled. Everyone took photos. Everyone pretended this was normal. Zara moved through the crowd with confidence, shaking hands, networking, making connections that would lead to more collaborations, more money, more validation. She barely glanced at Amara, trusting the child to maintain the image she had spent hours creating that morning. Malik watched Amara stumble, catch herself, stumble again. He stepped forward, but Zara was already there, kneeling in front of their daughter, adjusting her posture, whispering instructions about how to walk properly in heels. Amara nodded, her face pale, and tried again. The tension in Malik's jaw was unbearable. He wanted to scoop his daughter up and carry her out of this place, away from the cameras and the judgment and the performance. But he did not. He stood there, frozen by the same cowardice that had kept him silent for months. The event lasted 3 hours. By the end, Amara was barely standing. It happened near the end of the night, when the crowd had thinned and only a few families remained, lingering over champagne and small talk about follower engagement and brand partnerships. Amara was walking toward her mother, carrying a small gift bag one of the sponsors had given her, when her ankle twisted in the heels Zara had forced her to wear. The sound was sharp, distinct, the kind of crack that made everyone in the room stop and turn. She fell hard. The gift bag scattered across the floor. The room went silent. Malik was moving before his mind had fully processed what had happened. He pushed past strangers, dropped to his knees beside his daughter, and scooped her into his arms. She was crying, her small body trembling, her ankle already beginning to swell. Zara stood frozen, phone still in her hand, her face a mask of shock. "We need to go," Malik said, his voice low, controlled. Zara blinked. "What? Hospital now?" She hesitated, glancing around at the people watching them, calculating the social cost of leaving early, of making a scene. Malik did not wait for her. He carried Amara toward the exit, moving quickly, his daughter's sobs muffled against his shoulder. Zara followed, phone still clutched in her hand, her heels clicking rapidly against the floor as she struggled to keep up. The ride to the emergency room was silent except for Amara's crying. Malik sat in the back seat, holding her, whispering that everything would be okay even though he did not believe it. Zara drove, her hands gripping the steering wheel, her face pale, her mind somewhere else entirely. At the hospital, they waited. Hours passed. Amara fell asleep in Malik's arms, exhausted from pain and fear. Zara sat in a plastic chair across from them, staring at the wall, her phone face down on her lap. When the doctor finally came out and confirmed that Amara's ankle was fractured, that she would need a cast and weeks of recovery, Malik felt something inside him break completely. He looked at Zara. "Look at what you have done." Zara did not speak for the entire drive home. She parked in the driveway, turned off the engine, and sat there, staring at the steering wheel, her hands still gripping it as though letting go would cause her to collapse. Malik carried Amara inside, her small body limp with sleep and medication, and laid her gently on her bed. He removed the wig carefully, revealing the thin, damaged hair underneath. He wiped the makeup from her face with a damp cloth, each stroke revealing more of the child she was supposed to be. When he returned to the living room, Zara was standing in the center of the room, surrounded by the remnants of the life she had built. Clothing racks, ring lights, backdrops, sponsorship contracts spread across the dining table. She moved suddenly, violently, grabbing a handful of dresses from the rack and tearing them from their hangers. She threw them across the room, then reached for more, her movements frantic, uncontrolled. Malik watched. She pulled wigs from their stands and threw them into a pile. She swept makeup palettes off the vanity, glass shattering against the floor. She screamed, a raw, guttural sound that carried all the weight of months of denial finally crashing down around her. When she was done, she collapsed onto the floor, surrounded by the destruction, and sobbed. Malik stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching his wife fall apart. He did not comfort her. After a long time, Zara looked up at him, her face streaked with tears and mascara. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "You were not. I thought I was giving her opportunities. You were taking her childhood." She buried her face in her hands. "I did not mean to hurt her." "But you did." Silent. Zara stood slowly, wiping her face, looking around at the wreckage she had created. She walked to her phone, opened Instagram, and began deleting posts. One by one, hundreds of them, years of content gone. Malik watched until she was finished, then turned and walked toward Amara's room. He sat beside his daughter's bed, opened a storybook, and began to read aloud even though she was asleep. The family was fractured, but there was a fragile, uncertain attempt at repair beginning in the silence. The days that followed were strange and quiet. Zara moved through the house like someone learning to live in it for the first time. She cooked meals. She sat with Amara during recovery, reading to her, playing gentle games that required no performance. She did not touch her phone except to call family or handle necessary tasks. Malik watched carefully, unwilling to trust the change too quickly, but allowing space for it to grow. Amara's ankle healed slowly. The cast became a canvas for family drawings, messages of love written in permanent marker by Malik and Zara both. The child began to smile again, cautiously at first, then more freely as the days without cameras stretched into weeks. Zara apologized, not once but many times in small moments throughout each day. She apologized for the wigs, for the heels, for the exhaustion. She apologized for choosing strangers over her daughter, for believing that validation from the internet could replace the love she should have been giving at home. Malik accepted the apologies without absolution. Forgiveness, he told her, would take time. One evening, Zara sat on the couch beside him, staring at the blank television screen. "I deleted everything," she said quietly. "The accounts, the brand contacts, all of it." Malik nodded. "I do not know who I am without it," she admitted. "Then you will have to find out." She looked at him, her eyes red. "Will you help me?" He did not answer immediately. He thought about the months of silence, the nights he had watched his daughter suffer, the moments he had failed to act. He thought about the man he had been and the man he needed to become. "Yes," he said finally, "but not for you, for her." Zara nodded, accepting the boundary. They sat together in the quiet, the weight of their broken marriage settling between them, neither certain of what came next but both willing to try. The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after Zara had deleted her social media presence. It came through an old email account she had used for business inquiries, one she had forgotten to close. The subject line read, "I know where you live." Zara opened it, her hands trembling. Inside was a list, detailed, precise. Their home address in Atlanta, the preschool Amara used to attend, the church they no longer visited, photos attached, screenshots from old posts, images of Amara in specific outfits, timestamps showing routines, patterns, schedules. The message ended with a single line, "She is beautiful. I cannot wait to meet her." Zara's breath caught. She read it again, her mind refusing to process what was in front of her. Then she stood, walked to the living room where Malik was sitting with Amara, and handed him the phone without saying a word. Malik read it, his face went pale. When did this come? Just now. He stood, moving to the window, looking out at the street as though expecting to see someone watching. We need to call the police. And tell them what? Zara's voice cracked. That I spent years putting our daughter on the internet and now someone knows everything about her. Malik turned to face her. Yes, exactly that. They sat together at the kitchen table later that afternoon, after the police had left, after the report had been filed, after the officers had explained that without a direct threat of violence, there was little they could do beyond increased patrols in the area. The stranger who had sent the message was anonymous, untraceable, a ghost born from the digital footprint Zara had created, nurtured, and profited from. This is my fault, Zara whispered. Malik did not disagree. I put her out there, I made her visible. I thought I was building something, but I was just offering her up. Malik reached across the table and took her hand. Not forgiveness, not comfort, just solidarity in the face of the danger they now shared. We protect her now, he said, whatever it takes. Zara nodded, tears streaming down her face. In the other room, Amara played quietly with blocks, unaware of the threat circling her family, unaware that the fame her mother had chased had created a predator neither of them had seen coming. The family sat together that night, united by fear, bound by the consequences of choices that could not be undone. And outside, somewhere in Atlanta, someone watched. Waited. If you enjoyed this story, like this video, and leave a comment telling me what you thought. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts for new stories like this one. Thanks for watching.